Full-time Devils, Leicester preview. We've got Adam, we've got John, we've got Paul, and we've got Howson. Let's get stuck in. We're really early in the season, but top four is already in the balance. If we drop more points in this one, how unlikely does it look, Howson?
Fifth game.
Oh, mate, I know. But have we not seen enough already to suggest that we're really going to struggle to get top four this season?
No, I think we've not seen the results that we would want, but the performances are markedly better. We're conceding less chances and we're creating more chances. That's better. That's definitely better.
Compared to what? The end of last season?
No, compared to the exact performances against them exact team, Palace, last season. In fact, performance-wise, it's not terrible. Results-wise are shocking, but I'd rather have good performances and know that results will come rather than just scraping through wins and not knowing why. That's better.
Do you remember the time at the start of that Mourinho season that we finished second and we were winning games 4-0 but playing pretty terrible?
No, we weren't playing terrible.
People would relate that to this season though, where
people said like because you scored in the last 10 minutes it don't count. No, as long as it's under the 90th minute, it fucking counts.
Adam, what do you think of our start to the season then? Do you think you've seen enough to suggest we can challenge for top four come end of the year?
Looking around at we have to look at the rivals as well. You think Spurs, Liverpool, City got their top four spots sewn up. So you're looking at one more between Chelsea, United and Arsenal. And potentially if Leicester or Wolves, do really well, they could potentially come into it. And even Everton maybe. But thinking of it from United, we can get top four. Like Steve says, the performances haven't been bad. The results have been though. And if we don't turn them around and get a result against Leicester, with some of the fixtures that we've got coming up, we've got West Ham away, Newcastle away, Norwich away, we've got Arsenal at home, Liverpool at home. Some very tricky fixtures coming up, and that's with European football back in the mix as well, and all that. So it's important that we start picking up results. Yes, it's fine saying, we should have taken chances. And when I look at the games, the one that we actually won, I didn't think it was our best performance out of the 4 games that we've played in the league. I thought, if we score that penalty against Wolves, I know we keep going on about it, but I look at that performance as a very professional away win. Against Crystal Palace, I thought it wasn't a great first half. Second half, we had we had long sustained pressure against Palace. Got the penalty. If you score that, we win the game. And it's just frustrating moments that have been lost in these matches that have ultimately cost us the result. Same can be said with the Southampton game. So it's important that not only do we have some level of performance, and of course we want to see improvements, especially against teams at home. Although I think with Leicester City coming out a little bit more than maybe Palace would have, it may give us the chance to create and score more goals in this game. We have to get the result as well, because we can't be affording to go into West Ham away thinking, oh, I think we lost there last season. You go there thinking we're going to drop more points. And then you're looking after six games, you've got less than 10 points. That's awful. So we have to get results in these games as well, and it's important that they come and not just the performance.
I'm going to be honest, the Southampton Crystal Palace game, I can't see how you see it was a good performance, mate. I think that going forward,
how many chances we made?
It doesn't matter about that, mate. At the end of the game, there was literally nobody up front making any sort of movement. People in midfield were picking up the ball and no one was moving anywhere. There was nothing.
I said, the second half, the pressure that we put on, and then we score that goal, we go on to win that game.
Yeah.
I just think there were moments in the game where we've lost it, and there were big moments in the game. Now, I think the Wolves performance was actually better than the Chelsea game.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I think that was, and then obviously the Southampton game wasn't. We should be doing better against 10 men, but Jesse squares it to Greenwood, or something like that, and then you win these games. So it is important.
Kane squares it to Sterling. England won the World Cup last summer, you know what I mean? It's all ifs and buts. I genuinely think the performance wasn't there for me. Paul, what...
We'd have absolutely dicked France, wouldn't we?
Paul, what do you think, mate? Have our performances been good enough this year? Because I can't see that Crystal Palace or Southampton game being anything like right.
I'm really sad that you added that caveat, because when you said, what do you think, I was going to say I think France probably would have beaten England in the final. But
Heavily. Heavily, Paul.
Bit better. The truth is that what I actually think is that the truth lies between those two positions. If you look at the underlying data, there's no question that United have fewer points than you would expect teams to have accumulated typically based on chance creation and chances conceded at this point in the season. But that doesn't mean we should have won those games based on the performance levels, because actually, in those key moments, there is still something about the collective psychology of this team that means it isn't quite there in terms of really being able to execute when it really needs to. Now, we could just say, I agree with Adam. I think apart from about 15 to 20 minutes, the Wolves game was the best performance of the season by quite a long way. But I think the nature of the defeat against Palace, even I agree that if the penalty had been scored in either of those two, either the Wolves game or the Palace game, then United would have won both of those games. But the nature of the way we conceded the goals we did against Palace, the nature of the slight underperformance in terms of finishing that United have experienced so far this season, it's not coincidental. It's about both individually and collectively some of the flaws in our squad and in the kind of first 11. So I remember talking to you, Adam, after the Chelsea game, and everyone was buzzing and happy, and I was too. And I said I think it's still going to be a really difficult season because there's nothing that's happened in the first few games of this season that is in any way surprising. That we look better than we did under Mourinho without any shadow of a doubt in terms of having a kind of collective identity and a more attack-minded, more progressive kind of approach. That's not a surprise. We look incredibly short in midfield, and the completely understandable decision to play Pogba deeper because we don't really have too many options in midfield means that the lack of a kind of functional, creative number 10 means we're really struggling to create chances up front. I don't know. I don't know why anyone would have looked at the squad before the season and not gone, yeah, that this is what this season's going to be like. So I think there's absolutely a possibility that enough clicks and we get enough momentum that we finish in the top 4. But I think there's almost the same amount of probability that we finish 7th or 8th because the negative momentum starts to roll. So I think it's very fine margins this season.
I've got to say, I'm not surprised by the way we've started the season at all. I did kind of see this coming looking at the squad, like Paul says, but I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit disappointed at the minute. John, Leicester are probably one of the best teams last season outside the top 6. So do you think that this is really a massive chance for us if we were to get the win, to get a bit of confidence going forward? We've beaten a decent side. You know, we can do anything this year.
It is a big game, but we have to realize that this season is the transition of all transition seasons. I mean, you can look at the transfer market, the activity that we've had with respect to getting rid of sort of deadwood players. I completely agree with Paul. I think we're extremely thin. I've been going around every outlet, every social media platform saying that this squad is extremely thin right now, and we're just a few injuries short from having a crisis. But the reason why I'm not freaking out is because it's a transition season. And while this team is in transition, it's also important to look at it from a fragmented point and look at each sort of, I guess, aspect of the club. You know, you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's also in a very big transition moment in his career. You look at this club as a perspective. We're trying to figure out if we're going to hire Edwin van der Sar as a director of football. You look at each individual player. You look at
we're not trying to figure that out. Probably.
Allegedly. You look at players like Jesse Lingard. You look at players like, I don't know, Luke Shaw. A lot of these players that are, you don't even know, are they fringe? Are they starting 11? There's lots of questions asked, and it's just transition everywhere, all around. And I kind of agree with Adam. He mentioned about how he said it was a professional performance, and that one penalty here or something here would have really done the trick. And that's what a transition team is going to show. There's going to be imperfections. There's going to be reasons for which we can't get points. Now, with that being said, just to kind of wrap this up, are we going to really be able to judge whether or not we're going to make top 4 by winning 6 points against Leicester? Perhaps. I mean, it's going to be a very strong indicator of where we're going to end towards the end of the season. It's still a long season ahead, you know. And with that being said, it's a bit scary as to how we're going to transition and how we're going to progress throughout the season, but it's going to be a very strong indication.
Look, it means fuck all, let's be honest. You can beat City and get relegated at the end of the season.
Yeah, I know, mate, but it's a good indication.
It's about putting some consistency together. And the first thing you want to see is consistent performances. And after that, generally, consistent results will follow. And you need a little bit of luck, and you need a little bit of...
the back end of last season, like, we can't lie. Obviously, I think the club have bought extra time and a little bit of protection in that sense by appointing a club legend like Ali. And they know what they are doing by doing that. They're not stupid. But I also think that it's momentum, like Paul said. It's all about momentum. And yes, it's about performance, but also it is about result, because we've got some very difficult games coming up. You look at the back end of last season, you look at the start of this season, people are already talking about 3-19 or whatever it is like that. And the record isn't looking great. And whilst we know the fans and all that, we're not going to start jumping on his back in a stadium and all that. And the club have bought a bit of extra time in appointing a club legend. The facts are, the pressure is still going to build on him if the results don't come. So we have to get both.
I think there's an important point to be made about the performance levels, because whilst that I would say there's a pretty strong argument that performance levels have exceeded the results so far, it's not definitive. It's not like spectacularly. It's not like the results are completely freakish. I mean, the Palace one was borderline freakish, but apart from that, they've been...
Well, how many shots on goal we've conceded to goals is a bit freakish.
But not when you dig into the data, not when you look at the quality of the chances, because we've had a huge volume of shots from not particularly promising positions. So you would expect...
Yeah, we have. Opposition haven't, though. I'm talking about our goalkeeping situation. We've not conceded many chances, and what we have conceded has gone in without being outrageously fucking amazing shots.
So a lot of them have come from defensive mistakes.
Well, yeah,
glaring defensive mistakes.
But all those things, I would say, go under the bracket of performance level. Because, in terms of individual performances, this is the kind of the devil's in the detail part of looking at football in terms of data and all that kind of stuff. You have to say, like, if De Gea's going to chuck 1 in 20 into the back of his own net, then that's going to be a really significant problem for us in terms of getting top 4.
Well, the reason that I was putting a bit of importance on this game a little bit earlier on, even though it is so early in the season, is just because I feel like this season, more than any season ever, this is almost a 50-50, this game. You look at the two teams, Leicester have a very good team. Compared to ours, are we really that much better, mate? Really?
You'd have to say probably not on paper, no, because I think Leicester's midfield absolutely annihilates ours. Defensively, it's probably not a hell of a lot in it defensively, certainly with what the defence we're going to pull out at weekend. You know, Chilwell and Pereira, good couple of full-backs. I'm not going to talk about Johnny Evans because I'm sure Adam's going to whip his pants off and talk about Johnny Evans. They're quite comparable. I would say I think the difference is, and this sounds counterintuitive, I think there's more match winning in Tony Marshall and Marcus Rashford up front, and possibly even Greenwood if he plays, versus Jamie Vardy.
Oh, really?
He's having a decent season.
Decent end of the season last year as well. He's in
that's what I think.
Unreal form, though, Jamie Vardy, compared to those two.
Midfield, that makes a lot of chances for him. I think he would look awful in United's team, and I'm pretty sure Tony Marshall playing in front of Maddison and...
Tony Marshall's the best striker in either team, let's be real.
What have we seen? What have we seen to suggest that? What have we seen to suggest that Tony Marshall's a better player than Jamie Vardy?
I think that's proper, like, red. That's the most red-tinted spectacles I've ever seen in my life. Like, I love Tony Marshall. I'm deeply emotionally invested in his success personally and professionally. But oh my God, that's crazy talk. I mean, should we get up some goal scoring numbers?
You know what? I think in the situation United are in, where we've got a 21-year-old Marcus Rashford, and he maybe needs an experienced striker in front of him.
Jamie Vardy was fucking doing a milk round on it at this age.
I'm saying Jamie Vardy might be a good player for United to have in the squad right now.
Well, only because of how fucking mismanaged we've been.
In terms of a footballer, he'd definitely get in our squad.
Vardy doesn't start over Marshall or Rashford, fact.
Yes, he does. 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000 at the minute. Adam, go on.
Well, yeah, he doesn't for fucking Southgate, does he?
Yeah, I know that's because he's got Harry fucking Kane in front of him, guys. Come on.
But then, he does start Ross Barkley over Maddison. So what does Gareth Southgate?
No, to be fair, that is absolutely ridiculous. Adam, would you say this is 50-50 at the minute then, United versus Leicester City?
Look, I was half joking. I do think Martial's got the ceiling to be a lot better player than Jamie Vardy was. Obviously, over the last couple of years, Jamie Vardy's been one of the top strikers in the Premier League, and I think since Brendan Rodgers went there, I think he's the top scorer in the Premier League since Rodgers arrived, or something like that, or this calendar year or something. Right. So he's clearly in form as well and enjoying playing football under Brendan Rodgers. Obviously, he's in the part of his career which is on the downside of it, and we hope to see the likes of Martial and Rashford, have a lot better times ahead of them, and a lot better times than Jamie Vardy has done in his career. So that's why I say Martial and Rashford over him. But obviously, in terms of in the last 12, 18 months, you're looking at Jamie Vardy's been one of the best strikers in the league. As for their team, I do think their midfield's a lot better. Obviously, Paul Pogba would start in their midfield, but apart from that, nobody from our team's getting into their midfield. I think Ben Chilwell's at this moment better than Luke Shaw. Johnny Evans could possibly still start for us. Possibly. And obviously Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, but Wan-Bissaka might not be fit. So you're looking at it, and they might even have a better defence than us going into the game.
Pereira's quality.
Yeah, and you're looking at their side as well. They're well underway with Brendan Rodgers. They already know what he wanted from the back end of last season. Their squad and their team hasn't really changed. Yes, they've took out a big part of their defence, but they've kind of just not let that affect them too much, and it doesn't affect them in the way they play football. So they're a team that's going to come and bring a lot of threat, and it's a worrying game. You look at the form books, and it's hard to predict it. Leicester could come and get a result, could be a score draw. United could win, and I kind of feel like if United do win, I'd be very relieved going out of the stadium. Like, oh, that was a game that we could have lost, and it shouldn't be. These are the kind of games we should be looking at and thinking, right, that's 3 points on the table. But given the up and down form, the up and down results, you can't guarantee anything.
Mate, the negativity around United doesn't help the players going in there. There's tentative players playing in that stadium because people are just going off their head on social media. And
I don't know whether Ali's worried by something or whatever, but I just feel like he's changed the way his midfield his functions. And obviously we've got less in terms of numbers in midfield. We haven't got that option of Herrera. Matic is obviously out of form and he's getting older. We're playing McTominay in there. But playing Pogba so deep, I don't know why we're persisting with this 4-2-3-1. Maybe we're waiting for Fred to become a little bit more fitter and bit match fitter to bring him in. But playing Pogba so deep, we've seen it. He had a poor game against Southampton at time, dilly-dallying and trying to do things in front of his box. We don't want him in front of his own box.
Yeah.
We want him further at the field, and I just feel like we've gone away from that. Yes, we're still playing on the front foot. Yes, our wing-backs are still getting high up the field. But the midfield area, and it's not all Ollie's fault. He should have had an addition or two brought in the summer. But the midfield area just really reminds me of us under Jose and under Van Gaal, and it's just really not good enough.
Okay, John, going to come to you for a bit of positivity, mate. We have a decent record against Leicester over the last few years. In the summer, we did take their best player as well. Come on, give me something to be positive about, mate.
I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, it's where we are with respect to each club's, I guess, period. I think Adam was spot on with respect to saying that Brendan Rodgers and Leicester City have got themselves really going, and things are going well for themselves. Good for them. But Manchester United right now, as I mentioned before, we're a club in transition, and every single one of these players are also in transition, with a few of them sort of experiencing, I guess, like an ultimatum season. And Adam also mentioned something about a ceiling. I think a lot of these players have a higher quality cap, I guess. I don't know the exact word, but they have a higher quality cap than a lot of these Leicester players. It's just that the given current situation, it's not the case. And while it's going to be, I guess, a 50-50 game in terms of how each team's going to really manage out the situation, and the game is any teams to take. So it'll be interesting to see, but I don't think it's that awful. I mean I'm more of an optimist. I mean, you guys know by now, but I don't think this is that bad of a situation. I think we're just still sort of needing to just kind of buckle down and just kind of take it game by game.
Making me feel a little bit better today. I'm not going to lie, all you lads. You're all very positive.
That's because your overreaction. I listen to social media too much.
Do you think I'm overreactionary?
I don't think I know.
Well, so I don't know, man. I have serious worries for this season in terms of top four, based on what I've seen already. But maybe it turns out that I am overreactionary, and we have a great
this season, yes, but you have to. We live in, obviously, we're all responsible. We all talk about football every day. We make videos on talking points, and things change very quickly in football. But you kind of have to, yes, we're living by game moments, and it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be annoying. We're going to have dips. And I don't know whether Ollie's the man or not. I really don't. But we have to go through this cleansing that we're going through right now. And it 100%. Might be slower than what we want it to be. It should have been quicker than what's happening. We should have got 2-3 more players in the summer. And I know Ollie's going to try and paint it as something else to try and keep that positivity amongst the squad. But we're going to have to just ride through this at the moment. Like, this has to happen. This is what we've all wanted, and yes.
But we shouldn't accept this though, mate. Like after the summer, we should have invested a lot more, and we shouldn't be happy to be in this situation this season.
But it's not a question of accept, because I was reflecting after the Chelsea game. I did a fan cam with Adam, and I said this is the season of fun. And I was reflecting. One thing that I wish I'd said as well as that is in the context that we're in the alternative being absolute mass protest, relentless action to change the ownership of the club, which anyway isn't in fans' hands. The level of power and influence that fans have, there's a great that fans tend to have much more of a sense of entitlement and power than they actually do have in these circumstances. Because I think it would take incredible levels of consistent and coordinated action to do anything from a fan perspective.
Even if we had 4 billion in my hand, I go, right, I've got the money, give me the club. They go, no.
Within the context of that, I think not accepting what's happening now is so counterproductive to getting any kind of enjoyment out of what is a voluntary pastime of being into football and supporting a club. Like the reality is there is a vision of what's happening now where Solskjaer's targeting young, hungry players to build a team in a more United-y kind of image. Now, the thing is, if we lose Pogba, the idea that we're building towards something, we're going to have to see a lot more evidence of that than we've had so far, in my opinion. Because I think we need to see very significant investment in our midfield if we've got any chance. But to be, Gaz, you said you're a bit like worried about top 4. I think you have to be out of your skull not to be assuming that United are borderline less likely to get top 4 than more likely to. Then it's probably not going to happen this season. It might happen, but if it does, it'll mostly be about Arsenal and Chelsea not being very good. Like, rather than us being like definitely the best of those 3. Well, let's include Leicester and Wolves. I don't think there's. I mean, I'd like to see a bit more consistency out of them.
Before the season, don't get me wrong, like I was very much under the assumption it was a 5th or 6th season, but at the same time, I don't think we should stop moaning about that fact. I think we should, United shouldn't be happy with finishing 5th or 6th, no matter what transition we're under or which direction we're going under. You can complain about it and still support the team every week,
Of course, you absolutely can, but it probably won't be that enjoyable for you as an individual.
It doesn't help you do a radio show next to a City fan every day either, guys. So.
When we went through the period of not winning the title for a few years in the mid-noughties, and we all didn't really figure it out why, and we was like, I don't get it. Right, we had the greatest manager the world's ever seen in Sir Alex Ferguson, but for those years, he wasn't up to scratch, apparently. Or was it that the players weren't up to scratch that he had at his disposal? Because as soon as he got the good players back in again, we won 3 on the bounce on another Champions League, went to a load of Champions League finals. The players that we've got, we are currently going through our Jemba and Tim Howard kind of moment. And we're not really going to notice this until we're on the other side of it. And we have someone, maybe it's Mason, that comes in and grows. And even Mason coming in, it's going to take him 4 years to really have that swagger when he walks onto a pitch to be able to impact the change that he thinks he can probably do. We are bang in the middle of Alan Smith playing centre mid. We are bang in the middle of Sylvester at centre half. We have to find those Vidics, Evras and Carricks, the players with character. Now, you might already have your Rooney and your Ronaldo to a certain degree in the squad somewhere. But unless you add those extra pieces of the jigsaw, we're still going to be those also-rans. Whether you've got Fergie in the seat or not, whether Solskjaer's the man or not, if he's not backed and he doesn't have the right players, we're never going to see it.
Okay, then, predicted 11s. You've already mentioned Mason. I don't suppose he gets in your team for this one, does he, mate?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't. I would go. I mean, obviously, we're doing this before the press conference, so we don't know if anyone's going to be.
Just been the international break. Someone might be injured. You don't know.
I mean, I'm going to assume Wan-Bissaka's going to be okay.
Yeah, that one's a bit iffy at the minute.
Yeah, I think it was probably a precautionary thing more than anything else. I'm going to assume Wan-Bissaka's okay. Fucking Ashley Young at left back.
Go on,
I'm
put him
going to
in.
say Maguire and Lindelof. I think he deserves a little bit more patience than everyone should. I think everyone deserves more patience than everyone's being given.
Who, Lindelof?
Yeah.
You don't think it's time to throw Tuanzebe in this one?
Like, he's had a couple of bad games.
Yeah,
Let's just relax a little bit and stop chopping and changing. You can't get consistency if you don't have a consistent 11.
Okay.
We got to go to a three-man midfield against Leicester, otherwise we're just going to get absolutely run over. And I would go with Matic, Fred and Pogba. I'm not sure we probably will bring both in with their relative amount of match fitness, but I would like to see Matic, Fred and Pogba as midfield three, and then James, Rashford, Tony Marshall up front.
Paul, you pulling a face. What's your team?
I'm pulling a variety of faces because I'm trying to. First of all, I have no idea who's fit and who's not fit. But the thing that I'm mostly pulling a face about, Gaz, to be honest, is the idea that you should drop Lindelof and try Tuanzebe, because I think the biggest thing that's happened in terms of defensive mistakes is that they've been mistakes of Maguire and Lindelof not quite being a partnership yet.
Yeah,
and I think you've got to. There's so much potential for that to be a really effective partnership, but I think it would be bananas to switch that out now and try and start building a partnership with someone else. The Palace goal where Lindelof was beaten for the header, really and truly, although Lindelof should have been stronger, that's actually Maguire's fault.
It also,
at least 50%.
About that goal as well, Luke Shaw was injured at the time, so they were both sort of covering for him a little bit. So I almost want to let Maguire off a little bit for his position in there.
Fair enough then, yeah. So that's that, but it's an example of like partnerships not quite being there yet. So anyway, I think the back four will be, as we hope, Wan-Bissaka's fit. Ashley Young will be playing left back because life is beautiful. Maguire and Lindelof, De Gea. I think he'll persist with the 4-2-3-1. The idea that Fred's going to come into the starting 11, unless you know something I don't know, like he doesn't.
I guess I know he's been working hard.
Who's Fred?
Carrying something on his own, but like, and that might be enough of an idea. But the fact he's not even been on the bench probably means I'm barking up the wrong tree.
Not still on his honeymoon.
Is McTominay fit? Is that he's not injured? Is he?
As far as I know.
Played for Scott. So
Yeah, all right. So I go McTominay, Pogba, and I think he might want Lingard in for his energy and his defensive work, which because I do think we'll get more chances against Leicester than we would against Palace, because I don't think the emphasis will be on us breaking them down as much. So I think you might want Lingard in to support the midfielders in terms of putting pressure on Maddison and when he drops deep and all that sort of stuff. So I think there's some logic to that. And then front three of James, Martial and Rashford, assuming Martial's fit. That'd be my starting 11.
Nice. Adam, what's your 11, pal?
Very similar. David De Gea in goal. Hoping Wan-Bissaka's fit. Physio room saying 75% for him, Martial and Pogba, in terms of whether they can play or not. So we'd like to think all three of them might be available, but might not be as well. I'm going to risk it. So Wan-Bissaka, agree with what Paul said on Maguire and Lindelof. I do want to see Tuanzebe given some time in the team. We've got Astana coming up at home on Thursday. We've got the Carabao Cup coming up as well. So maybe that'll be the time for him. So stick with those two, Lindelof, Maguire. It's a shame Delow's injured as well. It's a shame. I know you said he should be back after the international break. Would like to see him given a goal, but obviously Ashley Young. Then in midfield, I agree. I think we will stick with the 2-3-1. And I don't want us to, but I'm going to go for points here. So I'll go with Matic and Pogba. I think he'll bring Matic back in. Or unless Matic has pissed him off with his comments recently, then I don't know. But maybe Matic will come back in. So Matic, Pogba, Lingard, for the same reasons what Paul said. Although form suggests Mata should be starting, or maybe Gomez given a chance. But Gomez has been in and out of the 23s and in and out of the first team squad. And
I think him and Axel's likely to be Astana in it or in the EFL Cup.
Yeah, again, so he's going to have one eye on those fixtures as well. So I think we'll see Lingard. Rashford he came on as a sub, didn't he, in the game for England? So I think
lay it on
for us. Rashford, Martial's hopefully fit, and Danny James, who's been on form. I'm thinking this is more of a game for him. I know he scored against Palace, but I think he'll have more success in this game than he did against Palace at home because of the fact Leicester will obviously push out a little bit. Their fullbacks will get forward, leaving gaps for him and Rashford to hopefully exploit. I want to see Martial bossing that 18-yard box. He can get himself a goal or two extra in a game just by being around there. But we saw against Southampton, there was a chance for, I know he scored in that game, the chance that, sorry, not against Southampton, it was the other one. Against Wolves, sorry, he scored in that game. But there was a chance that Rashford created on the back post and you think he'd just get there. So I'd like to be seeing sniffing goals out.
John, what's your 11, pal?
I got David Day in goal, back four of Ashley Young, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now, I was sitting here listening to the gentleman speak. I really do think we should be switching to a 4-3-3 here. I really think we're going to be out-muscled and outgunned in midfield. But I agree with Adam's point. I don't think we're going to switch. I think we're going to probably stick to a 4-2-3-1. And I don't think Matic is going to play because that man's been chatting bare shit. So McTominay and Pogba, I'm going to go chatting bare shite. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to go McTominay and Pogba in midfield.
What the fuck sort of accent?
That was mint. That was
Bring my
mint.
culture, John. I'll fuck you up.
Well, 4-2-3-1, and I'm going to go McTominay and Pogba in midfield. I'm going to go Rashford, Mata, James with Martial up top.
It's a decent team. It's a decent team. Right, we've spoken about Leicester quite a bit during today's preview, so let's keep this brief. But danger men to pick out. Paul, for you in this one?
James Maddison, I guess, in terms of his incredibly... I mean, the level of chance creation that James Maddison put up last season, I mean, this is a widely known statistic, but the only player that created more chances than him in the top 5 leagues in Europe last season was Leo Messi. So James Maddison's...
He's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, James Maddison's hashtag numbers are real nice. So yeah, I think in terms, he's the most important player to shut down. But the one who can hurt you most directly is obviously Jamie Vardy. I don't think this is a word for Yuri Tillemans, who is a player that I like. So many moves in the last couple of seasons. He's a player that I don't understand why United weren't trying to hijack deals for. Yeah, I think he's.
I believe it may have been a bit of a case of like, we'll leave Tillmans alone, will you sell us Maguire? Was I believe.
Right, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
What about Ndidi? I'm surprised we didn't go in for a player like that.
I mean, we could literally go and pick Leicester to pieces. We could probably do with Chilwell, and Ndidi would definitely help us. We obviously took Maguire. Again, on Vardy, why I'm not really a huge thing about Vardy is, like you said, Maddison created basically the most chances in Europe. Vardy's playing in front of a very good midfield that creates a lot of chances. They also bang a lot of balls in the box that are ideal for him from the wide areas. So that's for one of my issues with Vardy. Saying this, he's very likely to score against us because of that. I just think that if you put our strikers in that system, they absolutely smash it as well.
I genuinely think there's something going on there that beyond just because to consistently score in any side,
very good.
And his finishing instincts are excellent. Like, he's a really good striker. He was good enough that with the team around him, he scored enough goals for Leicester to win the league. Now, you don't just bung any half-talented striker in that side and they score that many goals. I think that's. And I also think it's wishful thinking. I want to, Martial FC for life. Like, doesn't matter what he does from here. I think it's very wishful thinking to be certain that Martial is that good a centre forward.
I think what Martial can pick up from him is the intelligence of running, because I think Martial, in terms of being as a clinical finisher, he is that. I think in front of goal, Martial can tuck if you provide him the chances, and we've seen that with him at United. His conversion rate is very good. But it's his running sometimes. And I think he has picked up on it this season. I'm not going to criticise him for that this season, because I do think I've seen changes in the way he's been moving. But like in previous seasons, there's been times, and that may be because he's out wide or whatever, but you see him just stand next to the fullback, and you think if you just pull out a little bit and make your run, you're already clear because you've got the pace, you've got the skill, and you've got the finish. But hopefully now this is the season where the penny drops. Like I said, 06, 07. Rooney, Ronaldo, Rashford, Marshall.
Someone needs to show him videos of Chicha, basically, don't they? And just be like, see that, do that.
Don't tell Adam that, he won't have that. Right.
Or indeed the current manager of Manchester United.
Yeah.
His movement was
some guy, yeah.
Wasn't to the level of Chicha, I don't think.
Chicha's
outrageous.
We are talking about Leicester at the minute, though. Come on, John, you tell me.
I wanted to talk about Jamie Vardy, but I think we've already spent a lot of time, so I think we've covered all the aspects here. We can move on.
We've already covered Jamie Vardy. Right, guess the score. Go on.
3-1 United.
Oh my God, 2-2. Paul, what's yours?
I'll go 1-1.
1-1. I'm going 2-2 for every game this season, by the way. Adam, what's your score?
My prediction was actually 2-2, but I'm going to be more positive seeing as you've took that on, and I'm going to go. What did you say, Steve? 3-1.
3-1. 8-1. Say 8-1.
3-2, but that is really, really optimistic, and I think it's going to be a score draw.
Do you know what? 3-2 is probably not a terrible shout.
It's not a terrible shout. I was
Do you know what?
thinking about 3-2.
No for United anymore because no one's that thick.
No, or a nil for the other team. No.
You're into your gambling. Both teams to score United every single week. Don't worry about it.
John, score prediction.
I'm going to go with 3-2.
3-2. I would be absolutely buzzing.
My score, John, after we've been doing this whole, we're not going to copy each other's score thing.
I can't stay up right now. I'm fucking half awake. I'm tired. Filmed yesterday. Let's go.
Yeah, right. That has been the Leicester preview, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Get in the comments below with your opinions if you agree or disagree with anything these gobshites have said. We'll be there at Old Trafford for the game. That's not including Paul when we're talking gobshites, really. But all the fan cams come in. Adam will be there chatting to fans after the game. And yeah, it's all on the way on Full Time Devils. We'll see you next time in a bit.
Bye.